It was the cap heard around the world, or at least seen around the world. I'm not really sure. But T. Higgins was active on X last night. Not really. It was just one tweet. It was just not even a word. It was just an emoji, just a cap. But a lot of people believe it had something to do with some of the things that were said earlier in the day. Of course, at the NFL Combine, media availability for Duke Tobin and the Cincinnati Bengals, of course. Chatterbox was shared on their social media accounts on their across on X. Take a look. Here's just a brief snippet of a lot of the things that Duke Tobin had to say about T. Higgins, about the offseason negotiations, and everything about the Bengals' future moving forward. Take a look.
T. Higgins. Seems like 3 or 4 or 5 years I've been talking about T. I think you guys all know what I feel about T. Higgins. I think T. Higgins is a fantastic football player, and I want him on my football team. Whenever I'm in charge of a football team, I want T. Higgins. And so I'm going to do what I can to get T. Higgins. Our preference with T. Higgins is to do a long-term agreement. Always has been. It continues to be, and we'll work hard to get that done. You know, we are fortunate. We've got a lot of really good football players, fantastic football players, and we're fortunate to be in a position to where we can fit them all in. And we've managed our cap well. We've got low dead money. We want a high payroll and low dead money so the people that are in Cincinnati playing for us can get all the money. That's what we want. And we're in a position to re-sign these guys. And it's a good position to be in. It really is. And we're going to attack it. And hopefully, we don't want to just re-sign these guys and pay more for the same football team we had last year. We want to add to it as well. So we want to re-sign these guys, reward them for their ability level, and add to the football team. So it's a tall task. We think we're up to it, and Katie's got us in position to attack it well. Franchise tag, yeah, I don't have breaking news on that. I'm aware that I have a franchise tag, yes, but our preference is a long-term deal, and that's what our focus is right now. Yeah. I'm optimistic until there's reason not to be, and I've always been optimistic with T, and I want a long-term deal. You know, he fits with us, and we fit with him. It's a great match, and so there's no reason not to work hard to continue the relationship for sure.
So here's my takeaway with him. A lot of good things are about to happen for you Bengals fans, or he is the most full of crap individual I think I've ever heard speak in my entire life, because he makes you feel very confident. I like everything he said, but the problem is, if you're saying it so confidently and saying it so eloquently and you feel so confident about it, why is your quarterback having to go around on every media show possible screaming for help? Why are the, you say there was another clip that wasn't in there where he said, yeah, it's important to get deals done early. Well, why are you telling us? We're telling you. Everyone in the, Bengals fans, the most passionate diehard fans and the critics, everyone can agree that you're doing that incorrectly. Don't tell us, you do it. I like everything he said. I agree with everything he said. And it sounds like their goal is to not just do the tag, but to get the extension. Like, if everything plays out, good for Duke Tobin. But man, if he's just, I feel like that could have just been a long clip of him just saying the right things to say the right things. And I'm not stirring the pot. I'm not being a hater. I'm not doing any of that. So everyone relax. But I think you have to agree, right? Like, he's either full of crap and he's just saying everything he can because he knew he was going to get a lot of backlash if he said anything but that, or things are trending in the right direction and he's confident it's going to get done. I would like to think it's going to get done, because I don't think you go out there and say that unless it is. But at the same time, he's saying everything just so, as a matter of fact, as if we're crazy for doubting everything that's happening, as if like we're crazy for all the stuff that's been said by T and some of the players, that Joe Burrow's having to go on every show possible, almost subtly calling out the front office about getting stuff done. So again, I made sure wrote some of this down. He said, hey, we're in a good spot. We have low dead money. We have, a lot of cap space. We're in a position to re-sign everybody. And look, he said all the right things. Will they do it? That's going to be the big thing. But like, he either sold us a bill of goods right there, or he's confident that it's going to get done. But yeah, like, he just said things so as a matter of fact. And I'm like, don't tell us that. Like, we know that. We've been questioning how come you haven't executed those plans if that's the case, because it's not like now's the time to get it done. Technically, last year was the time to get some of these things done, as far as that's concerned.
Yeah, he knows how to say the right things. Clearly, I think he was prepared. He knew what was going to be asked, and he knew the answers that he was going to give. He knew all the buzzwords. He knew how to make the fan base and the national media, talk positively about him and the Bengals and the future. He knew all of that. So congrats to them. They were well prepared for this interview. My whole thing is that if you're not going to do anything about what you say, then why would I ever believe anything?
Yeah.
You know, if you're going to talk about we have money, we're going to have a high payroll, why don't you? You know what I mean? Like, if you're going to get deals done early, why don't you? If you want to sign T to a multi-year deal, why haven't you? We're looking at, you know, a back-to-back franchise tag for one of the best wide receivers in the National Football League. If your whole goal is to get a multi-year deal done, let's do it. Let's go ahead and do it, because I don't understand what the pushback is. If T. Higgins is asking for $35 million, then we'll have a different discussion. But those numbers haven't been reported. As of right now, I think that you can get T. Higgins for a number that makes sense. Jamar is going to be the highest paid wide receiver in the NFL. You know that. But you have the money for it. You have the money to make that happen. You have the money to bring back T. Higgins. You have the money to bring back Trey Hendrickson. So if what you're just saying there is that, you know, we're gonna feel really confident about getting it done, I lose my confidence, because I think you're just saying things like you just said, Kinner. I think he knew what all the buzzwords were, and he wanted to get everybody excited, and he prepared himself for that, and that's what he did. He succeeded. Unless what he said was a lie, and T. Higgins is calling him out on it. But to be fair, that cap could have been about anything. Could have been about anything. It's just strange timing that it happens a few hours after the press conference.
I just don't know what Duke Tobin possibly has to gain from lying about these contracts. What does he possibly gain from that? He looks like the worst GM in the world, that he just does whatever his owners tell him to do. He has no control. He can't keep good players here. Something that's a no-brainer for the other 31 teams is something that he thinks is a no-brainer but doesn't have the ability to get done. I mean, he made himself look so bad if that was a lie yesterday, when he could have just kicked the can down the road as he has for the last 3 years. That's the only reason I'm confident, is because I don't see any reason for him to change his tune unless there's a change that happened. I just don't see what he possibly gains from it. And the fact that he's saying everything that makes sense, everything that we've said they need to do, he's going through. And I did think one piece that was interesting there, and he said it a couple other times during his interview, about how important the lack of dead money the Bengals are. So outside of these big three, if they do get them done with Jamar Chase, Trey Hendrickson, and T. Higgins, do not expect the Bengals to change their salary structure. They're not going to be giving more guarantees into the next few years and risking that more dead money. So don't think that the days of, you know, in-season trades or major free agency signings are going to be coming right around the corner. That's not going to happen. Our best chance, as we've known for a while, and as we've said time and time again on this show, our only chance to get blue chip free agents is Trey Hendrickson and T. Higgins.
So with that, you know, I did that whole little spiel about everything that he said, but forgot to, you know, obviously end it with, and you guys alluded to it, at the end of the day, T. Higgins, or end of the night, he just tweeted out cap. And cap means lie, as the cool kids say, of course. And who knows what that could have been referring to, but I think we kind of can connect the dots on this. And I will say, I'm here to tell, and Elliot, I know you'll disagree, and Jake, I think you'll disagree. If T. Higgins is like, let's say Trey Hendrickson is brought back and they spend a lot of money fixing a lot of holes on the defense, I'm here to tell you the offseason is not a failure if T. Higgins is not back next season. I don't think it's a failure if he's not back next season. I think, Jake, I've heard you say in the past, it's going to be kind of one of those like, he's not coming back, but it's a pause because you want to see what they do. Okay, we're not bringing him back because we're using this money to allocate over here.
And so what do you get for him?
Yeah.
That's a big question. Yeah. So if you're trading Higgins for a third-round pick, that's a F-. Now, if you can flip him for a top 40, that's a very different conversation. So if he feels like it, so if T is saying, Cap, we're nowhere close, or he's getting the indication from his agent that he's going to be traded, it's going to be, you know, a sign and trade type of situation or whatever with the cap or with the, with the tag. I mean, okay, I still don't think that is a red flag. I would not be like T. Higgins being concerned last night to me is not a red flag. I know that people don't want to hear that because you want T in Cincinnati. I just don't think it's a red flag. At the end of the day, I don't think it's the worst business decision in the world if the Bengals say, T, we love you. We know Joe loves you. We appreciate you being a part of our Super Bowl run. Like, that was all great. But we have a plan, big picture, for how we want to lay out this roster. And it just does not include having the highest paid non-quarterback on our roster and paying you top dollar at the same position. And I'm not saying it's right or wrong. I'm just saying I would understand it.
But I think you guys just want to feel like your front office has a plan. And I think
Yeah.
that's where you lost faith in the front office last year, where it felt like there was no plan. And I think that's where they need to regain that trust with your fan base.
Well, honestly, last offseason, it felt like there was a plan. Their plan was to extend Jamar Chase early. And as soon as there was a little bit of pushback to whatever number they had, they just threw in the towel and gave up, said, we'll try it next season. And that's not a winning formula. You have to be persistent in the front office. And that's what you're saying right there. It's not the worst thing in the world that T. Higgins is a little uncomfortable with the negotiations right now. They're negotiations. He's going to probably be put under the franchise tag. I doubt they get something done by, next Wednesday? It's March 4th. I think that's next Wednesday that they have to have an extension done unless they franchise tag him. I think they're going to franchise tag him. And of course, he's not going to be happy about that. And I'm sure there's going to be some tweets from him and from his mom and from everyone else who's an insider in the middle of February talking about how he's definitely going to get traded and be paid, $35 million from the Patriots or whatever else. But as long as he is on the Bengals roster or at least not on someone else's, there's a chance he's back in Cincinnati. And after yesterday, I'm more confident than I was before yesterday, regardless of the tweet.
I'm okay if they trade T. Higgins. I don't need to have T. Higgins back. I want T. Higgins back because I think he's going to be the best option. If you make a trade for him, he's going to be the better player in that trade, no matter who that trade is or what that trade is, if it's for draft picks. So I would like him back because I know the Bengals can get it done. Now, if you trade him and you have a set plan and you can get him for a second-round pick, maybe a second and a third, if you can get a good deal, then absolutely. It's a rare thing to have such elite talent that the Bengals do in terms of wide receiving and quarterback. It's a very rare thing. You can't think of too many examples where the quarterback and two wide receivers are all probably top 10, top 5, top 3 in their positions. I'm trying to think, in Tampa Bay when Tom Brady went there, it was Tom, Mike Evans, and Gronk. Those are elite options. But that's a rare thing. In Philadelphia, you have, maybe 4 top players at their position. A.J. Brown, you have Devontae, you have Saquon and Jalen Hurts, and you've got everybody. So, there are teams out there that can do it, and it's going to work out, in my opinion, if you bring T. Higgins back. But it's not. You don't have to do it. There's been a lot of Super Bowl champions, including the Kansas City Chiefs, who lose premier talent and still are able to succeed. You can lose T. Higgins and succeed if you have a plan beyond T. Higgins. And that's my whole thing. I don't know what their plan is. I don't know where the direction of the franchise is. I'm hoping they're going in the right direction. But let's say you trade T. You need to get another wide receiver.
Yeah.
You have to get on it. You need a tight end as of this very second. We don't have Mike Gesicki back as of right now. So what, you're going to bring Mike Gesicki back? You're going to draft a tight end with your first overall pick. There's just a lot of questions regarding the Cincinnati Bengals. And to your point, Kenner, I do feel like I've lost a lot of the faith in the front office because I don't know what they're going to do. I have no idea. What he said at the press conference feels great to me. But if he's not going to act on it, then it's nothing. It meant nothing. In fact, it's going to make me feel significantly worse.
We saw an extra name thrown in with those big 3 that we've talked about a lot this offseason when Joe Burrow initially went on his free agency tour, threw Mike Gesicki in there as well. You just touched on that we need a tight end if we don't bring him back. Duke Tobin had a couple comments on that yesterday as well. He said, we've been pretty good at bringing tight ends in. Mike fit with us, but tight ends tend to fit with us. It was a great match, and I'd love to have him back, but at the end of the day, we'll see. It seems like in Duke Tobin's eyes, at least if you're going to believe everything he said yesterday, he is removing Mike Gesicki from that top group.
Yeah.
When he's talking about the top free agents and the priorities of the offseason, he's talking about T, Jamar, Trey Hendrickson, and then Mike Gesicki falls down to an obvious tier 2, at least just going through the quotes that he said yesterday. So I think that was important to note as well, just because he said backed everything Joe Burrow said, but it seemed like at least that point he had a slight disagreement.
Yeah, I feel like in the negotiation process, it's like, all right, with this new job, I want the raise, and I want you to help pay for movers and a company car. All right, we'll give you the raise, we'll pay for the move, but you're not getting the company car.
Yeah.
I feel like Gesicki's the company car. I feel like, you know what I mean? I think at the very end, Burrow, the company was like, well, yeah, he's going to want these guys. And, he wants Gesicki too. He wants the company car. You're not getting the company car, but we'll help your move. We'll help with the expenses, this, that, and the other. Either way, you just want to feel like they have a plan. There was a lot of confidence in his message yesterday. I think that's the biggest takeaway. Obviously, the wrinkle at the end is the subliminal message from, of course, T. Higgins. But I think we can all agree it's just kind of a sit back, wait and see approach. I think so. Joe Burrow, for instance, if T's not brought back, I think he's going to be pissed up front But if the changes that they make lead to them winning 11, 12 games next year, winning the division, making the playoffs, and competing for a Super Bowl, I think Joe Burrow has to sit back and say, okay, all right, well, your moves at least led us in the right direction. But what you can't do is not do the moves your star quarterback wants, and then you continue just running in place. That's going to lead to chaos down the road. I do want to ask you guys quick on I think I sent it in the chat yesterday. Let me bring it up because I think it was, Charlie Goldsmith. You referenced it earlier about the Jamar Chase thing. There's still some weird stuff with that from last year. So Charlie Smith said, or on the tweet, just kind of quoting Duke Tobin, saying Duke Tobin said Chase changed his mind last year in contract talks. It's just business. Like, was that not a shot, but like, what the hell happened last year? Because we keep going back and forth. Jamar Chase was a little of the bad guy at first, and then people dialed back because, whoa, wait a minute, he's only doing this because they approached him. Well, he changed his mind. I don't know what's happening here, but it felt like, hey, Jamar Chase changed his mind. Duke Tobin could have taken accountability there and said, yes, we did approach him probably, prematurely in regards to not having the right deal in place, and that's what led to the distraction heading into camp. Instead, it was, well, yeah, we approached him, but he changed his mind. Like, as if it was, on him as far as that's concerned. I know at the end of the day, there's nothing there because they're going to get the deal done. I'm very confident in that. He reiterated that over and over. But that's still, rewinding back to camp last year, it's still weird what exactly went on that led to that noise before camp started.
Yeah, I mean, I think when he said he changes his mind, I'm sure he's right. I think, like, they offered, hey, Jamar, you want a deal? And he's like, yeah. What about this? What about this number? Oh, I'm good. It's like if Casey asked me for lunch, hey, Elliot, you want to go to lunch today? I'm like, yeah, absolutely. And we walk out the door. He's like, you okay with Long John Silver's? And I'm going to be like, probably not. So Long John Silver's isn't a sponsor of the show, is it, Kenner, of the station?
Not anymore.
Okay. Well, that's what it was. And like, I'm sure he changed his mind. I don't think it's a shot. I think he's accurate with what he said. I think he probably changed his mind once he saw an offer that he didn't like. That's okay.
I'm laughing at that. I just saw a random Facebook meme that said there's a secret society of people that regularly give their business to Long John Silver's to keep that place open. Because have you ever once sat back and said, man, I'm craving some Long John Silver's today? Like, I don't know any of my friends that do, but that place stays open. It just
I have
stays
no
open.
idea. It's my biggest mystery on this planet, how Long John Silver's is still active.
The 2-for-1 Jack in the Box Long John Silver's is usually a good establishment, though.
Yeah.
You usually get that root beer stand one every once in a while, like something. But